Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's good to see all of you again. And I'm just kind of wondering if any of you actually remember seeing a newsreel in the theater. Now, if you say yes, you do, you are dating yourself. So you may not want to raise your hand. I do vaguely remember seeing these. This was in the days before television was so popular and TV news, which killed the newsreels. But you'd go to the movie theater and you'd see the newsreel, things around the world and so forth, a whole bunch of stories. And then you'd have cartoons, and then you get to see the feature film. It was a great time to be able to do that. Well, today we're doing Science in the News, as reported by Gregory Vogt. And our first big story today is New Horizons spacecraft nearing Pluto. This is something you need to know about. This summer, our very first spacecraft to actually encounter Pluto will take place in July. We've never gone to Pluto. In all the years that we've been going into space, Pluto is the one target that we haven't gone to. It's going to happen this July. We're going to have great pictures and data about this planet, and your kids are going to hear about it during the summertime, I hope. And it's something that you want to bring up in the fall with the kids, our first visit to a dwarf planet. Well, this mission started in 2006. Pluto is really far away. That's the reason why. But the spacecraft launched towards Pluto, and here's the trajectory of it. We started right there, and the trajectory aimed it towards an encounter or a flyby of the planet Jupiter. The purpose of doing that was to use Jupiter's gravity to change the direction of the spacecraft to aim it towards Pluto, plus pick up some of the big planet's momentum from its orbit and accelerate the spacecraft. That way you don't have to use as much fuel to keep the spacecraft going, to adjusting the course and all that. You get Jupiter to do it for you. Well, this July, this is going to happen right here. It's going to fly right by Pluto, and then it's going to go out, and for the next several years, it's going to be a mission to the Kuiper Belt, which is all the frozen ice balls that eventually become comets when they fall towards the sun. We don't know what it's going to look like when we get to Pluto. It's an icy body. It's got a giant moon called Charon, which is half the diameter of Pluto, but it has more than that. Actually, it has now Nix, Styx, Hydra. Charon is the original moon that was discovered many years ago, and Kerberos. Those are the moons that we know about, and we're liable to find more moons going around Pluto as we get closer to it. Well, after the encounter, we get out into the Kuiper Belt where we see all the comets that are just orbiting around, and every now and then a couple of comets may bang into each other, or somehow the gravity will just get distorted in the area, and then they'll dive towards the sun. And those are the comets that we see that come around. Some of them are repeating, and some of them just go straight to the sun, and they're gone for good. Well, here's the timeline. We launched in 2006. The encounter with Jupiter is 2007. Pluto and Charon will be 2015. That's this summer, this July. Then we get into the Kuiper Belt objects, which are the comets, from 2016 to 2020. It's an amazing mission, and we're going to have some great stuff. You really need to pay attention to it because your kids are going to be able to see it this summer. SpaceX attempts a barge landing. Now, SpaceX is a company that was founded by Elon Musk, and he just loves the science and technology and wants to get involved in space programs. His company, SpaceX, is the first company to develop a private spacecraft that's able to go up to the space station and deliver supplies, and they've done it several times. The last mission, which took place this, I think it was January, but anyway, the last mission of this thing, the spacecraft went up there, docked with the station and all that, but what they wanted to do was to retrieve the first stage of the rocket, which normally lands in the ocean and sinks and it's gone. They wanted to retrieve it. And the way they do it, or they're planning to do it, is to, as it's coming down, fire retro rockets, in fact the main engine, and land softly on a barge that's positioned in the right place in the ocean. So there's the barge right there. It's pretty big, and that's the target. So that was out there, and the vehicle was sent to land on the barge. So I'd like to show you what actually happened. Elon Musk called this full RUD. Here we go. And full RUD stands for Rapid Unscheduled Disassembly. Well, that was bad, yes, but not really. Hitting the barge was quite an accomplishment. I mean, this thing was up in space. It came down and landed on the barge. I mean, it hit hard, but they've actually perfected some of the landing techniques with a vehicle called the Grasshopper, where they shoot it up to about 1,000 feet, and they do this kind of stuff with it, and then they come back down and land right where they took off. And they've been doing that at a site in McGregor, Texas. They do that. This is our thing. And they want to build a launch site down in Brownsville. So we're going to have an actual launch site in Texas as a result. Now, SpaceX has other plans. And one of the plans is to make a crew-carrying vehicle. So this is kind of an early version of what it might look like in space. But inside, it's designed like this. Very different than the Apollo. A similar shape maybe, but different than the Apollo craft. It's got room for 7 people there. That control panel actually comes down so that the person sitting in the bottom center seat there can operate the vehicle like that and be the commander of it. That would be good for trips to the space station, but also trips to places like Mars. You'd have to have other parts of the vehicle up there for Mars mission because you wouldn't want to all be sitting there for 6 months in those seats. You know, you'd only have 3 or 4 that would actually arrive maybe, you know. But if you have room, then they'll all survive the mission. But that's what they're looking at. And it's kind of exciting. A private company does that. And by the way, he's also the developer of the Tesla vehicle, all-electric car. And he's got concepts for mass transit, really kind of cool stuff. He's quite a guy.